In this video, I will talk about some common tension issues. There are a few very common tension issues that can happen in knitting, in hand knitting, and they all really have to do with the differing sizes of particular knit stitches. So typically knitters produce a tighter knit stitch than a purl stitch. Not always, but that is usually the case. So there are a couple of terms that you may or may not have heard of. One is called guttering and one is called rowing out. And these are two very common tension issues. Guttering, this is the right side of a stockinette stitch swatch. Guttering happens when all of either your knits or your purls, usually it's the purls, are slightly larger than the other stitch. What happens is you get every other row is slightly larger, and this is very exaggerated, so sometimes it's difficult to see this happening from the right side. But if you turn your swatch to the wrong side, that is when it becomes obvious. There are gaps, 2 purl bumps and a gap, 2 purl bumps and a gap. This tells me that either the knits or the purls are larger. So because it happens all the way across the row, we know that it is how a stitch is being made that is causing this. So those are gutters. The other term is rowing out, and rowing out is just like guttering, but it doesn't happen in the body of the stockinette or of the knitting. It only happens at the edges. And so this sample has rowing out happening. And again, if you look at the stitches over on the side, you'll be able to see small, large as you go up. The other key thing is that gives it away is the edges are taller than the center. And usually rowing out only happens on one side or the other. Sometimes though, it can happen on both sides. And if you turn this to the wrong side, you can see these gutters more clearly on the edges. Large gap, large gap, large gap, large gap. So that is rowing out. Another issue that knitters can have is an enlarged knit stitch before a purl, either in ribbing or in cables. So it's maybe a little subtle, but the left hand knit stitch in each of these rib columns is larger than the one on the right. And then up here, the left hand cable stitch is larger than the one on the right. And it is usually present on the wrong side as well. So those are some very common tension issues that you can have in your knitting. Thanks for watching.